Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, one of the things that I pride myself in with this show is having a range of guests across multiple industries and try and showcase how technology is affecting all of them. But equally, I love supporting new startups and having tech entrepreneurs sharing their valuable advice and ideas to other people listening on similar journeys. But it's also important to feature tech and industry leaders. And this year, I've already spoken extensively with big names such as Adobe, IBM, Reuters, Capital One, BBC, and even US talk show host Wendy Williams recently. However, tonight I'm proud to say we have Sony on the show to talk about the evolution of their second generation digital paper product. Digital paper is also gaining momentum in legal, financial and medical fields by professionals who all read documents, take notes extensively. So I'm incredibly excited to get them on the show tonight to learn a little bit more about this second generation product, but also about the adoption and how different industries are all using this one product. So buckle up and hold on tight, because I want to beam your ears all the way to New Jersey so we can speak with Daniel Oberhunt from Sony. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Neil, thanks so much for having me. Yes, I lead business development for Sony's Digital Paper, and it's sort of an interesting role. Of course, I've been with the company now, believe it or not, over 15 years, and my initial work was to champion the Sony Reader and the first e-paper reading devices that Sony pioneered before even Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but that's a whole different discussion. Past 3 to 4 years, I've been working with my colleague Bob Nell, who leads our business unit out of San Diego, and Bill Burke, our national sales manager out of San Diego. I'm based here in the New York metro area, and my role involves all aspects of marketing, some sales efforts, grassroots sales efforts, and I also call it operations, so anything related to making our business run more smoothly, including personal contact with customers. That's one of the things that I enjoy most, because we have such an ardent following from around the world for digital paper. So I've come to know a lot of what I call our inner circle quite well, and they're a wonderful source of what we call voice of customer information, and even interviews in person with our product developers, which I've coordinated with customers at major universities. And we have a very strong connection with our customers, and they provide a lot of information, which of course we act upon. And the new product that we've just announced embodies some of the feedback from our customers.
And like you said there, Sony recently announced the evolution of their second generation digital paper. I believe the model's DPT RP1, and that's essentially, from my understanding, a tool that has become indispensable to professors, scientists, researchers and graduate students in STEM-focused careers or areas of study. But for anyone listening to the show today that's not heard of it, I mean, can you expand a little on exactly what digital paper is and why Sony are so excited about its second generation release?
And we are excited, and it is largely coming from the great testimonials and the 4- and 5-star reviews that are unsolicited going on the sites of Amazon and B&H, our retail partners. We launched the original product a little over 3 years at the American Bar Association Tech Show in Chicago, and we've worked very hard to grow this business and grow this market over the past 3 years, and we're very excited because some of the improvements over a product that was so well received are going to make this, I don't want to be overconfident, but for anyone who understands the product and gets it, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, Neil, I feel it's a slam dunk. Doesn't mean digital paper is for everybody, and we'll distinguish that from some of the other digital gadgets that are out there as we get into our discussion a little bit more. But basically, digital paper is shaped like a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, A4 size. Its hallmark is the screen technology, which was developed by e-ink, and all of the attributes that go along with that e-ink screen, coupled with Sony's innovations in handwriting and just the texture of the screen. So together, Sony and e-ink have put together a next-gen product here that I'm very confident both for customers who purchased the early version and for people who are new to this product. So again, it's all about reading and writing. Some people are trying to go paperless in their office, wherever they work, whether it be public sector or the private sector. We see people swimming in paper continuously, even in this age of quote-unquote tablets, which have not been the answer to replacing paper. And I would argue a key distinction with our product is that it's a focused product. It's not littered and cluttered with apps and distractions. It's a serious, relevant work tool, the reading and the writing, so that annotation of documents such as a thesis, a white paper, a dissertation, the reading of journal articles, heavily done by our customers because they print out today PDF journal articles. And we can talk a little bit about the debate over PDF. PDF is not dead. Let me state that unequivocally. And I'm no publishing expert in science, technology, and medical, but I know our customers who use those journals still read PDF. They don't want to read on backlit screens, and therefore digital paper has become a valuable tool for those who know about it and understand the e-ink, and they don't want to read on backlit screens. So our digital paper, in summary, is not a replacement for computers. It's not a replacement for tablets. In fact, it's not competing with them. It's a complement to the computer, and it's more akin to a use case for paper, just with a digital twist, as you noted in one of our early correspondences before this discussion.
Absolutely. And one of the things I always notice with any new tech device is the success of it. It's all down to the adoption. So it could be the greatest tech device ever created, but if people don't want it, if people don't actually want to use it and they don't adopt it, then it's never going to be a success. Now, one of the reasons I invited you onto the show today was digital paper seems to be gaining momentum in legal, financial and medical fields, all by professionals who read documents and take notes extensively. I mean, can you expand on that a little bit?
Absolutely, and it's by way of the feedback I get, and people contact us through our fledgling Twitter site. They'll message us, or through Facebook, or through our digital paper homepage, which is, of course, revamped over the past 2 weeks. And we get inquiries from other various sources or referrals, and I've taken it upon myself, while we obviously are scaling this business, it's still nice to have the grassroots feedback and grassroots effort. And so I wouldn't say that the mass adoption has been in the medical field or even the financial. Both of those have been inundated with all kinds of gadgets and devices. However, we have live wires who read lots of 10Qs, 10Ks, and all sorts of other prospectus type documents in the financial world. So I anticipate with this next generation of Sony Digital Paper, we're going to see greater adoption by the Wall Street or banking community or anyone dealing with financial documents, perhaps even in real estate. Think of all the paper that gets handled in a real estate transaction, just a consumer real estate transaction. In the medical field, again, you go to a hospital,
Well, you go to your primary care or eye doctor, and you're still filling out tons of paper.
Yeah.
In spite of this age of the electronic medical record, that field has all kinds of mobile devices floating around. We haven't done as much in the medical field, although again, live wires from cardiology and brain surgery have spoken with me and talked about how they continue to take considerable, extensive notes when they're interacting with customers or patients. They don't use tablets. They still carry paper notepads around. And this is also true in the mental health arena. School psychologists, psychiatrists. Can you imagine a psychiatrist interviewing the patient behind a laptop computer with a keyboard? No. So again, hopefully this brings to life what digital paper is all about for your listenership, because it's akin to holding a pad or another document. And so I left legal for last because we've continued to work very closely with legal partners. And there's some, in the largest law firms, they have this thing about no BYOD, bring your own device, and they're very strict about security. Of course, we've come out with very strong security and encryption with the new digital paper. So I anticipate that we're going to make even more inroads with large law firms. I will say that with small and mid-sized firms, we've already done well. And in the field of appellate law, we have some live wire customers who said appellate equals reading. So really, any appellate judge or appellate attorney would be a prime, or is a prime prospect and beneficiary of digital paper, and we intend to do more in that arena in the coming months as well.
So the first generation of digital paper was a big hit with early adopters, and it gave users an entirely new way of better document reading, annotating, and essentially a better note-taking experience. But I've got to ask, I mean, how has Sony built on this for a second generation, and what's different and what's better with this new iteration of digital paper?
Well, I'm holding it right now, and some people, occasionally they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We relied on the original hardware for nearly 3 years. We pushed several firmware updates based on customer feedback and to improve various aspects, but we relied on the same form factor and hardware for quite a while. And so the new device clearly has a more finished look. It's smooth to the touch. It has an interesting texture, almost like paper. It doesn't fold. It uses a flexible display, a flexible panel as we call it, but it's still rigid in that sense. So I want to make that clear to people. It's not scrollable or foldable. Mm-hmm. But we basically improved on 3 areas that we knew and customers asserted where we needed improvement, and that's on the processing power, basically what we call the refresh rate. So it's page turning, it's the speed of the handwriting, all of which were good. That's why we got positive reviews. But that we have really, again, I believe, addressed the processing, the speed of handwriting, and the precision of the handwriting is quite good. There are 2 kinds of tips. One more like one is called a felt tip, and the other is called a palm tip, and one is more pencil-like, and one is more like a ballpoint pen. And several come in the package, so customers can determine which is preferred for their own writing style and feel. So we've come a long way there, and importantly, we have improved the transfer of files and folders to and from the digital paper and the PC. We can now synchronize with the cloud as well. not directly with the digital paper, but through a small app that we call the digital paper application. This is basically mirrors from your computer, from your PC or your Mac. It mirrors what's on the digital paper, and you manage settings, and you set up folders that can synchronize with Box or Dropbox or Google, or if you have a more secure service or one that's renowned in enterprise as being secure, Citrix ShareFile, whatever cloud service you have, it can synchronize via this little digital paper app and directly to the new digital paper via Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi, or the USB connection, which again, in the past, most people relied on the USB. It worked fine, drag and drop, but now you have a more fluid transfer so you can get to your heavy-duty reading and writing more quickly.
Now, what I love about digital paper is it's taking something from our old analogue world and giving it a digital makeover. But what kind of feedback have you received from this product? I mean, does it open people's eyes to see the art of the possible? And do you get a kick out of seeing their eyes light up when they see that? And are most people surprised by just how powerful it is?
Well, the new product should be getting into people's hands probably over the next week here in the United States, and I believe they started shipping in Japan. Those are the two markets where it's available, and I think we'll cover that again further down as we close our discussion. Reviews on this model, not out yet. However, right after we announced the product, I attended two conferences, one related to open source learning management systems called the Apereo Foundation, and also at the Scholarly Publishing annual meeting. And what we found is this product presents itself very well to the public. And as we plan other conferences and sponsorships, that's another area of my responsibility. I expect that we'll continue to get positive feedback from people because we've addressed the perhaps inadequacies of the first generation. As far as opening their eyes to the art of the possible, it's amazing what people will post on Twitter or on Facebook and how they use digital paper, whether it be for a gaming guy. Can you imagine a digital guy like a gamer, but he's a mathematician, a programmer, a coder, and he sketches things on his digital paper and does a lot of reading of mathematics journals. And so he was sort of an intersection of interesting uses, and he posted some things some time ago with drawings and sketches. Now, perhaps for some it would be an expensive device for just sketching, but if that's really critical to your work, and you do also do some reading and you do formulas, proofs, various mathematical schemes, then this is definitely a worthy tool. And then the music arena. This device is ideal, and we have a lot of people who've used it for sheet music.
Wow.
Now, what we don't support right now is Bluetooth connectivity with a foot pedal. But for any of your musicians that are listening out there, we haven't forgotten you. I haven't, and it is on my list, my wish list, so that you can, in practice, more readily. The jury's still out on performance, particularly in a large orchestral setting. But for those of you who carry around a lot of sheet music and you want to practice and you want to mark it up, we have discussions going on, but there's no commitments here because we're just out of the gate and we have to sell what we have. But I think the use case in the musical arena is an outstanding one for turning pages via Bluetooth, but we don't have that now.
That's what I love about what you've done there, because when you're actually creating digital paper, you've probably got an idea of what industries it's designed for and who's going to get the most out of it. But before your eyes, once it's out there, it organically grows and evolves into so much more, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And again, in this age of digital devices, papers still proliferates. We love paper. It's so natural. It's so easy to use. But that's why this product can be understood by most anyone, and it's relevant to nearly everyone in everyone's lives, because paper is relevant. That doesn't mean everyone's a prospect for digital paper, but most anyone will get it. They'll understand it. Now, there's some who say, oh, it's shaped like a tablet. It doesn't wash the dishes. Well, tablets don't wash the dishes, or as you know, there are certain key things. Sony's in the tablet business as well. But what we found is oftentimes an organization, an institution just procures a bunch of tablets, and then they don't get used what they're supposed to be used for. And it was a waste of either the private organization's dollars or the taxpayers' dollars, and they didn't get used the way they should have. So I'm very interested because this is such a relevant focus tool. It won't be for everybody, but I think the market potential is considerable, and it goes way beyond our advocates in the STM, the STEM community, and the legal community.
So having the ability to have precise handwritten note capabilities on the go and then wirelessly transfer any documents to a PC or Mac is just fantastic. But another thing that holds back a lot of technology is how easy it is to use, especially now because we're living in that simplified world where we can order a cab with a swipe of our phone. We can we can order a meal from the slide of our phone, even a hotel room for the night. It's just insane now. But so I've got to ask, how easy is a digital paper to use? And by that I mean, could a non-techie pick it up and be able to be up and running within a few minutes without any of those steep learning curves that frustrate people outside of technology and IT departments?
Yeah, it is. Although our customers range in ages, one might go to a more established tenured professor's office and see that individual swimming in paper. The more so than others. Same with the lawyer, the attorney.
Yeah.
That's really more of a mindset by those individuals. It's not about digital paper. It's the way they work or drown. For them and for anybody, this product is so easy because, as I mentioned earlier in our discussion, Neil, it's not cluttered. It comes charged, and of course, another hallmark of e-ink is the 2 to 3 weeks battery life. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. But out of the box, one can open a note and just start writing on it. There are a couple steps to configure your handwriting. If you're a lefty, if you're a righty, if you hook your wrist, if you write with a straight arm. So there's effort to set up to your writing style. And there is a very simple download to your computer of that little digital paper application. So that's not complicated. It's an important step in configuring the product, and then pairing the Bluetooth. That's my preferred method, is using the Bluetooth transfer. It's so quick and easy between the digital paper and to move documents from your Mac or PC. And so in sum, that's what you do. You open it up, turn it on, attach it to your computer, download the little DPA, and I don't know if it may take only 5 minutes, maybe 10, but anybody can do it. And again, the UI is simple and easy. There aren't that many things going on, so you can get to work. And then for those real techies out there, the people on the leading edge, they'll find it easy too. And then, of course, they'll want to invent new things and create new kinds of workflows. But our intent was to keep it really simple for as many people as possible.
Now, in a time where it seems we've got so many things to charge each day, whether it be a wearable watch, a phone, a tablet, it's great to hear that it's got a 30-day battery life. So that's going to make a big difference for a lot of people. But for the techies that are listening, I must ask, what's under the hood tech-wise? And I read that internal storage has been bumped up from 4 gig to 16 gig, I believe. But can you just run through the tech spec of the digital paper device?
There used to be a micro SD slot. I forget how many gigabytes was in that now. We elected not to go with that any longer. And the 16 gig is more than sufficient. I forget how many, maybe up to 10,000 documents. The 16 gig is not all available for storage, but that's the spec. Yeah. We have the newer, higher resolution display. So there's improved contrast with this. It's whiter than the previous. And just I jotted this down for the techies. It's 1650 by 2200 dots DPI. So I wanted to have something available for you on that. The full list of specs for people is over on our website, which I'm sure I can share with you later. But about 13.3 inch diagonal, 12.3 ounces. So the portability piece, again, a hallmark of the screen technology, lends itself. We have faculty and attorneys, particularly faculty, that will go back home to Spain or Portugal or Germany for the summer and carry materials, all kinds of documents on this wafer-thin device. So again, you wouldn't buy it it's not really intended to be a storage vehicle, because you're going to put your bulk of your documents on a server or in the cloud, but it has generous storage so that you can take quite a bit when you return to Barcelona or Lisbon or Berlin. And I know people who do that and have told me. So it's great. And they are our best advocates, because they're traveling on planes, trains, going to conferences, going to peer review, grant reviews, and their colleague or counterpart is sitting there with a pile of paper at this meeting, and they walk in with their digital paper. And they're a magnet at the meetings. Yeah. So it's been great. It really is a positive.
I can only imagine how cool it must feel to be that guy walking in the meeting room with your digital paper, surrounded by people with piles of paper there. But I think you've whet the appetite for quite a few people listening today, and we do have people listening in 150 different countries. So I need to ask, how much listeners can expect to pay for one of these, and how widely they're available in the world at the moment, or they will be, should I say, when it's released?
Thanks. It's a great question, Neil, and also kudos to you on reaching 150 countries. That's quite an accomplishment, and I guess the word gets out. I can't say that we have following for digital paper in 150 countries, but maybe what they will if some of them listen to this particular episode. But we get inquiries from around the world, have all over major universities in the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Singapore, Turkey, Russia, Australia. I'm missing Finland. But the product at this time is officially available. There's a product unique to the Japanese marketplace, and then there's a product for the United States. Now, that's not to say enterprising people from all over have been successful getting the product, which is available at our two retail partners, Amazon and B&H, which is headquartered in New York, but they have a very active online presence. The product is $699, and that's quite a move from 3 years ago when we initially were selling the product for $1,100 and with no return at the time, because we wanted to make sure people understood what they were getting. and and they did. And now, 3 years later, we have a product that's very much available at our retail partners' sites. And again, the stories for those people outside of the United States, I could tell you stories of they had it shipped to the hotel, they had it shipped to colleagues at major universities or collaborators, co-authors. So that's my little tip, is that while we don't officially support the product outside of the U.S., we've had many people who understood e-ink and knew the value in their work, and they jumped through hoops to get it. And I thank them because they helped keep us on the map as well. But by far, the vast majority of our business is U.S. based, of course.
I've got a feeling that many of the listeners out there are very resourceful, so I'm sure they will find a way of getting their hands on one. But if they do have any questions about the device or anything that we've spoken about today, can you advise where they can find out more information on Sony Digital Paper and how they can contact Sony, or any way of reaching out if they have any questions?
There are multiple points of inward contact to Sony, being the size of the company we are, but I've found, whether it be through our fledgling Facebook site or Twitter, we follow them closely. I oversee that as well. I don't do the postings myself. Someone's helping on that, and they do a much better job than I would. But any private messages that come, we return and respond personally, or if the tweets are public or the other posts are public. Our new website, www.sony.com/digital paper, brings you to a site where you can click on the product, and then it has a whole expose with videos, list of specifications. There is a form in there for contacting us. So that's another means. And again, it will also take the visitor directly to Amazon or B&H if they're so inclined. And there's a lot of good information on the retailers' websites as well. And there's quite a bit of dialogue going on those sites with people asking questions and commenting early on. So it's all been very gratifying, the activity. The media coverage has been quite strong.
Excellent. Well, I genuinely think that Sony Digital Paper is an exciting product, and I've been in enough meetings to see people writing down in notepads to only leave the meeting and then actually type their notes up, which seems incredibly backwards to me, and a problem that you can solve with this product too. But more than anything, just a big thank you for taking the time out and coming on the show and telling us all about it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Neil. It was a privilege, and I know my colleagues, we're all grateful that you included us and wanted to present this to your listenership. Thank you.
We increasingly hear about the digital transformation and how it's affecting businesses, so it should be of no surprise that digital paper is now gaining momentum in legal, financial and medical fields and numerous professionals in various industries. But for any technology like this to be a success and be adopted by people outside of IT departments and techies like myself, a product like this for me would need to be easy to read, have higher resolution display with a more responsive touch panel, and ultimately make precise handwritten note-taking capabilities and wireless transfer documents to PC or Mac all feel completely seamless. And thankfully, Sony seems to have ticked all these boxes in this second generation device. And I'm genuinely excited as to where this technology is heading. And maybe that dream of a paperless office and no more needlessly printing could really happen. As for you guys listening, do you have any experience in this area or with this device from Sony or the first generation of digital paper? Please feedback as always, offering your expertise and advice by commenting this episode over on my site techblogwriter.co.uk, where you can just scroll to podcast and browse your way to this episode. Also, if you want to speak with me directly on email, you can get me at techblogwriter@outlook.com. Or hey, if you just want me to send a pic of you using the Sony Digital Paper, tweet me please at Neil C. Hughes. So a big thank you to Daniel for coming on the show today, and an even bigger thank you to each and every one of you who has listened to this show, because let's face it, without you I'm just a crazy tech guy talking to myself in an empty room. So all that's left for me to say is until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.